You know, all it takes to get somebody else to take a sip out of your drink is to tell them that you got that good in it. Some people like white, some people like dark, some people like crystal, some people like sparkling. You just got to know which audience you working with, and then they gonna work back with you and make the game that much easier. Welcome y'all back to the DeAndre Way. I am your host DeAndre, and today we are covering episode 3 of the Traitors US, and it's getting deep, y'all. It's getting real deep, 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 deep. Oh yeah, it's getting deep like that. If you know that, you a real one. But y'all, I, I'm enjoying this show a lot. You know, we lost a couple big heavy hitters in the first two episodes, whether be it or not. You know, I'm kind of sad to see Johnny go that early, but hey, the game must go on. And we getting some high implementation strategy up in here. There's a lot of top heavy hitting gameplay that we don't get on typical shows because all these people have been through the ring. Most people have been through the ringer at least once and have came out. A lot of them came out successful. And this game is weeding out the weak and the weary, but also the real strong. They got to look out too. But everyone's getting analyzed down to a T. And the top limit implementation strategization gameplay is getting put to a cute point. Let's just put it like that. And I'm enjoying it. So, one thing I will say before we get started is yes, I've just created, I know we're talking about the membership, but I created a Patreon to make it easier. It's in the link below and it's in my main homepage on the YouTube channel. So if you want to support the page, become a patron today. We got some special things coming in there. We're putting all the patron exclusive videos there, as well as some other things. You'll get talks from some other people from Squid Game, some other people from different shows, and some other things from me, and we'll talk about some other shows in particular that are only good for the patrons. And you're helping support your boy at the end of the day, and revolves to keep growing this channel, making it better and better, upgrading equipment, making the settings better, everything, and then better content, of course, everything for y'all, because y'all the ones that rocking with me, and I appreciate y'all all the way, 100,000%. So go ahead and become a patron today. It's very simple. Just sign up, no worries. And it's only $5 a month, y'all. I mean, look, I'm not here to steal money from the people. I'm here to give back. I just want, we give a little, take a little, that's what we doing. And I'm here to support. So let's just keep it like that. But anyways, regardless, I rock with y'all because we got some good stuff going. But we'll get into it. The Traitors, episode 3. And episode 2 left off with the third traitor, Parvati. She's finally getting to meet the other two traitors, Dan and Phaedra. And so they take off the robes in there. They meet each other full of excitement. Dan and Phaedra definitely had good implementation on. I keep saying implementation, like that's the word of the day. To pick Parvati because she has some strengths that they don't have and she can cover the bases that they can't cover. And they feel like they got the whole house on lock with her on the squad at this point. Parvati's a good choice. She's a champion. She's been through the mud and the ringer before. And, she kind of fits that triple mold. We got one housewife, we got one big brother, and we got one survivor, covering majority of the spectrums that we have in this game. So when they get in there, they discuss who to kill. And they got some options. They're thinking about Deontay because they think he's a big threat in the game. He's sussing some people out, putting some names out there, and he might slip up and get one right sooner or later. They discuss Marcus because Marcus was around Dan when, and Marcus pretty much called out Dan and was saying like, "Oh, you're pretty quiet. We might need to get you out, and you could be the traitor." And I'm like, okay, he was spot on, and Dan's kind of spooked by that. This Marcus got him shaking in his boots and shaking in his drawers to where he's like, "Look, I might have to speak up and get this brother up out of here because these brothers is getting too strong already. Now, you know how it be when a brother get a little leeway, they gonna have to kick you out the house." And it's seemingly looks like the direction they're going into with our brother Marcus. Hate to see it, hate to see it, but hey, I mean. It's either look, the traders are kicking out the good game players, and then the house is voting out the bad ones, essentially, is the trend so far. And then they discuss Janelle because people listen to her. She's a force to be reckoned with. She has she's a big figure in the house, and kind of whatever direction she's leaning into, people will follow. And if it happens to be one of them, they might need to get rid of her now. I don't think that would be smart to get rid of Janelle because Dan seemingly isn't in alliance with Janelle. I don't think Janelle would suss Phaedra out, and she could suspect Parvati if things go her way. But Dan has a relationship and an alliance with Janelle, so I don't think that's smart for him to get rid of her just yet. I think for his own sake, he might need to keep her around just a little bit longer to kind of protect himself because if someone has a sense of him being a traitor, she can rub that off and be like, nah, it can't be him. So I think that it's best for Dan to make sure that Janelle is safe. Soon it is breakfast time, and we soon find out who is still alive. And we see first few people walk out. Tricelle was in danger, and they come out in four small groups, but she makes it. Dan comes out and he says Peter's pretty smart, but not smart enough to know a traitor is sitting right next to him. How is he supposed to know that, Dan? Do you think he has telepathic powers and can read minds? Do you think he just knows who the traitor is and he decided not to try and say their name last time in the round table? And yes, everyone's soon coming inside and whatnot. We get some funny commentary. Everyone's wondering who it is. And the trend seems to be at this point, like, the last few people coming in, that's kind of the suspects on who was going to be out, but nobody really knows that quite yet. It's hard to see that. We're privy to a lot of things as an audience, so we got to remember that it's not as obvious as the edit is making it seem for the players itself. And we find out that our brother Marcus Jordan, the heir to Michael Jordan, gets sent home in seemingly the first round of the playoffs, early in the game. Dang. Well, Michael Jordan, he didn't make it to the finals every year either. He didn't make it to the finals his first go round. And this is Marcus's essentially first go round. They say he's a fashion entrepreneur, which I didn't know he was a fashion entrepreneur or enthusiast. I mean, he got good style, but fat, like to give him that brand, I don't know. That's kind of a reach to me. But hey, go ahead. I'm gonna root for you, brother. Maybe I'll have to check out some of your styles and cop one of them. We'll see. I'm gonna have to look into it. I'm gonna have to look into it. Drop the Marcus Jordan, Temu links on here, and I'll see if I can pick up a bag or a wristband or a shirt or something. But yes, he gets sent home because he was sussing out Dan, and he was one of the smarter players. He definitely had his eyes peeled and was pointing his guns in the right direction, but unfortunately, he got out before he could aim and shoot. And yes, they eliminate him because he's one of the smarter players. And then soon, the host gives Larsa Marcus's photo as something to remember him by instead of bananas, which he just threw on the ground. It's like, oh, the banana's gone. And then he hands Marcus's gently to someone else, which was pretty funny. Bananas got done dirty and sneak dissing when he's still gone. And so they soon talk about, they're trying to comfort Larsa. So Larsa doesn't seem too upset here. She's like, oh, he's gone. Like, I don't see a tear come out her eye. I mean, it's not like he died, but she doesn't seem like she's that disturbed with him being, evicted from the house. I don't know. Maybe she needs some time alone. I don't know. But I thought she'd be a little bit more sad that her boo is out of here. And that could give her a way of being a traitor next because they're like, oh, she's not. Somebody could say, oh, she doesn't look that sad at all. She could be a traitor. So maybe you need to start with them waterworks, girl, to prove that you really are faithful. All that extra Botox is keeping you from really showing your face. No, 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 too much sneak this. And we joking here, y'all. We all jokes. We all jokes. Uh, but yes, the host, the mission we find out is at midnight next, and Trishelle, they're trying to figure out. So everyone's starting to throw names out there and see what's going on. And Trishelle soon throwing Dan's name out there as a potential traitor. Parvati knows this, and she's having mixed feelings protecting him. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. My throat was a little dry. I thought I drank enough water, but I need to. Drink your water every day, y'all. Drink your water every single day. Maybe like 4 of these essential water sizes. This video is not sponsored by Essential Water, but if essential you like this and you want to follow, go ahead. We gonna work with that, coach, and let's do this together. But yes, Trichelle's showing Dan's name out there as a potential traitor, which she's on the right radar. Peppermint was wrong, but Dan is right. Parvati knows this, and she hears Trishelle saying this, and she's having mixed feelings about protecting him. Like, It's not me, but I can't stick my neck out there to save him, which will blow my cover. So she's just listening right now. A lot of names are being thrown, but definitely she's hearing this and she's got to be a little weary. Soon, CT, Deontay, and Max are discussing why Marcus got killed. Who was he talking to? Who was around him? What did he say? And Max, as soon as CT and Deontay start talking, Max is acting a little suspicious when talking to them. He just starts making these weird faces, and i- he's giving himself away like he's a traitor at this point. Like he didn't want to talk about it, which was very weird. I don't know what the deal was if we missed something, but Max is acting very strange here for some reason. Janelle feels like it's a man who did it because a woman would not get rid of bananas and then Marcus. Why wouldn't they? I don't know. Why wouldn't a woman get rid of bananas? I mean, I can see why she wouldn't, because women usually like to target each other in these kind of games, but for initially, but I don't see why it would be. I mean, it's not one person's decision, so I don't understand that at all. Um, but yes, we soon figure out that Laura is sussing out Dan, and Dan knows it. Everyone's putting their bullets and guns towards Dan, and he feels it. Dan's been real quiet. His strategy to be quietly under the radar. But if you're that quiet, you're not saying nothing. Duh, everyone's gonna assume you're a traitor. I mean, this man. I did not watch his seasons of Big Brother. I know he's a great player and he's a legend and almost won twice. But I know he wasn't playing like this during Big Brother. Now they're two different games. You can't bring the same strategy again and again because people will know what you're doing. But he wanted to be a traitor. I don't even know if he would have came on the show if he wasn't a traitor. Pretty much, guaranteed a spot to be one. So I don't I don't know the quiet gameplay. I mean, he's been out the game for a minute there, and maybe he's just trying to dust some rust off and trying to figure things out. But his game plan is getting exposed real quick. And they pull up soon for the mission to a graveyard with headstones having the names of the dead people of the season and last season. So we see on them, like Cody Calafiore, we see Marcus, we see Bananas. And tonight they're going grave digging. And the objective is to find the gold in the graves, tombs, and crypts. They will need tools. And once they have dug up the gold, they'll put it in a pot, and there are also 3 shields. So the most money they could win in this competition is $20,000. So in light terms, they're just digging up these graves or digging through this graveyard per se and trying to find the pockets of money in them there as well as the shields. Pretty simple, not rocket science, but there's a catch. There's this lighthouse search looking thing uh, that there if it's going around and if it spots you, you're out. So you got to kind of pay attention to what this light's doing as well as keep searching on what's going on. Now, when I saw this, I was like, oh, simple. Just have one person watch the light while everyone else is going digging. And then no one will get out and you'll have the maximum amount of time to go look because you won't waste time with people getting out. That seemed like the simple strategy. You just have to have one person kind of sacrifice themselves a little bit, but it's a team effort and you're all getting money at the end of the day, so nobody would really self-sabotage. Because in the first mission, everyone should have elected one leader as well to do the puzzle, but they had problems with that. Same kind of situation here. One person in charge, everyone kind of follows suit. But they don't do that. Um, they don't do that. But yes, there's a light, and if Blair's caught, they're eliminated. They have 20 minutes to do this challenge. So Janelle says she wants to be in the second group to watch and observe. John, watch and observe. And so soon the game begins, and the first group of people go out there and start looking for it, and they're doing horribly. John, within the first few seconds of the game, he's out. I mean, he's moving like molasses out there and like Gary the snail and just gets caught up running kind of like a penguin out there. This ain't his game. This ain't his challenge. He was not going to be successful in this. And yeah, he had to get his butt sent back to Parliament in this one. And yeah, he's out. And then soon, CT's breaking some doors down and whatnot. And then he gets caught in the light. And I was surprised by this. I'm like, CT, What are you doing? Now this is your game to kind of be dominant at. I didn't understand that part. But yeah, CT got careless, he said, and he's out too, just like that. And soon Sandra gets caught next, and then Dan gets caught, and then Parvati gets caught, and then Deontay gets caught. So there's a bunch of people just boom, 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 boom. They all getting out, and I was like, this mission can't be that hard, y'all. This light when it's moving, it don't look like it's moving that quick. It moves like it's moving at a very kind of slow pace, and they're just. I don't know if they just forgot about the light rule or something, or they're just I don't know. It was bizarre because they didn't find a single piece of gold or a shield before five people got out. I was like, oh, this is a wash. They getting cooked by the light, y'all. It's like they're the ants, and you got the magnifying glass, and you just going up and down, killing each and every one of them. It reminded me of the movie Ants, if you guys seen that. But yes, Bergie soon speaks up and says, "There's a pattern in the light." They're all kind of yelling, but he says, "There's a pattern. There's a pattern." And Sheree gets caught, and he's like, "Guys, there's a light. There's a light." Now he got to, he's not the most leader. He doesn't look like the biggest leader in the house from afar. And like, he starts speaking up. People might just be ignoring him because this is the first time he's doing so. And they're like, "Oh, Bergie, like, go sit in the corner somewhere. We ain't worried about what you're saying. You ain't don't know what you're doing in here. You still a rookie in the game." But you got to take everyone's opinions into consideration. So it's kind of funny, and I like him speaking up like this. He's definitely putting himself out there and showing us who he is, and that he does have some strategic implementation to his game. And yes, everyone's getting caught up in the sauce, and they need to listen to him. But soon, they kind of settle down and they realize maybe he has a point because we're not getting anywhere, and he's kind of the one soon dictating when everyone should move and go. And yeah, he's doing a successful job. He's leading them to victory. He's telling people when to move, when not to move. He says the light's kind of going like in an up and down pattern, easy to see after the first few minutes is noticeable, especially the people from the sideline. The people from the sideline should be able to see this light too. So I don't see why they don't notice the pattern either. That was strange to me too. I don't get how the people didn't see this pattern. He's the only one. There can't that there has to be a little bit of editing tricks to make it seem like he's the hero on this point, and that means something I think is about to happen to him. That right there is a small giveaway from me because there's no way he's the only one that notices this when CT is there, when Janelle is there, when Dan is there, when you have smart game players that have played games far harder than this that aren't noticing these things. So it's just raising some eyebrows to me. Like, this dude can't be the smartest one out of this whole bunch. I think they're just giving him this shine because his time might be up soon. That's just my thoughts. That's just my thoughts. But yes, soon they find a battering ram and break through this door to get $5,000 and then get another $1,500. So they're up to $6,500. And then soon Tamra finds a shield. And then after that, Bergie ends up getting caught in the light, and there, he did a good job getting them to see the light, no pun intended. And soon we see Peter gets a shield, and they're rounding up the money continuously, and the game is winding down. And Janelle sees her time to get a shield. Well, she starts breaking down this little thing, and she sees a shield inside. Now, from the looks of it in the TV, Janelle's the only one in frame, and then Ekin-Su comes in and tries to like beat her to it, but it clearly looks like Janelle's the first one in there. So I think she just tried to capitalize on this one moment, but she couldn't body Janelle. Janelle's like, "Nah, girl, you got she boxed her out like Brittany Griner in the paint." She was like, "Nah," psh, psh, psh. And she got the shield. I mean, Janelle's been she fell the first episode and got the shield. She's been clamoring with folks. She's been laying it down. Like, Janelle's been giving everything. Janelle's been providing for this show, and so far, she is definitely the headliner, in my opinion, of this show, bigger than the Traitors, because she's giving everything, and she's showing why she's a legend in reality TV. So she like, I'm not playing with y'all. Y'all done me dirty on Big Brother 22 All Stars. I'm not playing with none of you. I'm getting safety every single time. Y'all not about to vote me out the house over some BS this time. I'm not doing it. And with her getting the shield every time, I think it's showing that there's no way she could be a traitor because the traitor wouldn't give away their cover so easily like that. And they know Janelle's not that dumb to do that. So I would cross her off the list of being a traitor. Just like, oh, she's fighting for this. A traitor would kind of just like give it up a little bit. She wasn't. And yes, it seems like she finds it first. She gets a shield, and soon the group is finishing and whatnot, and they're getting all the money, and they keep making these games seem like they're down to the last second. Like, oh, like they're the last second. And they get 950,000, 19,500 dollars out of $20,000. So they only missed $500. So they pretty much got the whole bag. And Janelle, Peter, and Tamara get their shield. So they did really successful with this. Everyone's thanking Peter, uh, uh, what's his name? They're thanking Bergie on leading them to victory, but I think it was more than just him because there's no way that all these smart people just kind of were disillusioned to the fact that there was this pattern going on. There's no way. And everyone's discussing soon who could be a traitor and who could not be. And soon, when this is weird also. So people are discussing it, and then Max walks in this room, and they're like, "Hey, Max, what's going on?" And he just looks at them, and then walks back out like the dang Peter Griffin meme coming out the bushes. I'm like, "What are you doing, bruh?" And it was real weird. I mean, why would you do that? I don't know if missing context or he had to go to the bathroom. You know, he got a phone call from his family members back at home, so production called him. I don't know, but it was very strange and awkward. And this is the second time that he's being weird around people. I don't know. He's comes from a different country, I believe. I don't know where he's from, but he's not American, and I'm assuming he lives in America, but and he's not. He's been around America, so I don't know if it's just his personality. I don't know if that's him just joking. I don't know if that's him being silly. I don't know, but it's just suspicious. In this kind of show, you can't really act too awkward, you know, if you're an awkward person or too jokey, just because you're gonna get assumed of things that you didn't do, just based off this specific type of show. You can't be your full authentic self if you're that kind of just a silly person, because then everything you do, you know, if you clip your toenails in a weird way, if you brush your hair on the wrong side, according to some people, they're gonna look at that as suspect. So I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, soon Deontay is putting Max's name out there in front of the group because at breakfast he was throwing names out there, as we said earlier, and he was being very quiet. So Max is being the next target as well. So right now we have Max a target, Dan is a target, and I think that's it. Yeah, just them two so far. And my assumption's Bergie because they're giving him this bright edit to where I do not think he's the leader of the group, but they made it seem like it. No offense, Bergie. I like Bergie a lot, and I want him to do well in the show. But that was just a little too. It just seemed a little too good to be true that he was the only one to see it. But yes, Janelle's name is soon getting thrown around, which I don't understand why. That didn't really give good reason behind it, just because oh she's been going for these shields. Well, duh, everyone should go for the shields. Peter soon has an idea with Kevin to act like they're not best friends and they're going at each other in the round table to cause some chaos and friction and just to, you know, spice things up. Maybe just do that because to make other people seem like they have their own beef so they don't have to worry about them too. You know, I actually thought about doing this strategy in Squid Game, but it's a risky one because if you seem like you're fighting with people, people are going to take sides and whatnot and then maybe jump against one or the other and then your friend is out of the game. Kind of a risky strategy. I don't think people's onto them yet, but if they come at them and seeing like if they catch them like joking around and whatnot, somebody does when they look like they were going at each other, oh, they're gone immediately just like that because it's like, oh, one of you guys are traitors for sure because you're protecting your own asses. So with this strategy, it can be used. It's a very risky strategy. It can be used to the highest degree if you're slick with it and you guys have that trust and common bond. But if you kind of slip up and get caught lacking, oh, it's over. It's over real quick. We'll see how it works out. Soon we see the host telling we see people telling Dan that we see Parvati, sorry. Parvati tells Dan that there are a lot of people saying his name because he's quiet. She pulls him to the side. He's like, hey, like You might want to speak up a little bit more because people are sussing you out. You haven't been saying much, and people get nervous around you because you're just this quiet guy, and then your little reputation around here, so you might just want to just be aware of that. She's looking out for him. She has to because he's a fellow traitor, and if he's gone, a shield of hers is gone essentially too. You know. And Dan says he knows he needs to step his game up, and he's not on Sesame Street, Easy Street anymore. This isn't 10 years ago in the Big Brother house. This is 2024, 2023, essentially, when they filmed this, and times have changed. You can't implement the same old strategies. And it's soon time for the players to join back into the round table to decide who they want to vote out. So we get back in here, and Bergie speaks out first. He gives his case and whatnot, and he kind of calls Dan out a little bit too. And, you know, he's like, Dan, you're kind of quiet, this, that, and the third. And then Dan soon says he's 1,000% faithful and he knows he's quiet and he's speaking out that he's with the faithful and there's no way he could be a traitor because that's just not the kind of game he plays. Dan, look, he doesn't give a horrible speech here. It's just kind of like very bland and very basic. There's no way I could be a traitor, guys. I'm with you 100%. You can't know that he's a traitor. You push too hard and he's not. People are going to look at you next. But it was just, I don't know. It didn't really do any convincing in my eyes. Uh, yeah, but he gets called out by playing the game. And he gets called out by MJ too for playing way too safe and below the radar. And if everyone played the game the way he did, there would be nobody speaking to each other. We'd all just be mute, just walking around like some mimes, like giving like facial reactions and sign language towards each other. I don't know if all these people know ASL, but that's the kind of game we'd be seeing if everyone was a whole bunch of Dans in the house. So people are catching on to him. They're clocking him, and he's starting his palms sweaty, knees weak, arms is heavy, and soon he might be voted out the house to go eat some of his mom's spaghetti. I don't know. It's getting real dark and dreary for Dan at this moment. Deontay doesn't, though, however, think Dan is a traitor, and people are mistaking his personality for him being a traitor. I see where you're coming from, Deontay. You're looking at both sides of the picture and whatnot. Deontay has his own game plan going on, and he has his own target set. I don't blame him for thinking this. He's cool with Dan. He's like, Dan's my homie. I don't want to vote him out. I don't believe y'all. I don't understand it, but the thing is, like, Deontay has never played a game like this where you had to socially manipulate people. He's used to one punch knocking people out. That's the game he plays. So yes, he deserves to have his own strategy and thought and whatnot, and I like to see that. I want to see Deontay do really, really, really well in this game. But he just has no experience when it comes to this. So anything that he's kind of persuading people, I wouldn't take too heavy. You got to know people's backgrounds. You got to look at where they come from and what games they played. I'm looking at the Survivor people as the most sneakiest. I'm looking at the Big Brother people, the Challenge people. Those people right there are definitely, I don't want to say the masterminds behind everything, but they're gonna have good ins and outs about really sussing people out because those are the main games that's played to where you have to suss people out and see what's really going on a full frontal standpoint. Soon, Deontay calls out Max and says he seems to move like a traitor. He's a leader and he's a shot caller, and he was acting awkward at when we were trying to talk at breakfast and all these other things. And he's real vocal about this, and he can Max, get a little into it. Max like me. I thought we was tight. What you mean, Deontay? I was gonna get tickets to your fight. Deontay's like, nah, player. You didn't piss me off for some reason, and you the traitor. Deontay's looking like the inspector right now, boy. He looking through the fine glass in his one little eyeglass piece, and he's seeing everything. But he's seeing the wrong side of things. I mean, I would suss Max out too if I was Deontay and the way we're acting around this. One thing about us brothers, people start acting a little different, we're gonna take notice. You start acting flaky and funny, and one day you're acting like this, and the next day you're acting like that. We're gonna take notice, and we're gonna suss you out. We're gonna hold that. Remember these things. We're not just gonna brush it off to the side and be like, oh, it's okay. Like that was just a mistake. It was a fluke, you know? No. You got to be careful and make sure you're consistent around people, or else you will get sussed out and X'd out. Best believe. A lot of people want to act funny in certain ways at certain times, and they want to play play the fool and think that they did nothing wrong. Well, I don't blame Deontay one bit for thinking that Max was the traitor, because he was acting crazy essentially. And I say crazy as in like too different. He wasn't being consistently himself to Deontay, and his behavior was not showing that. I mean, just go look at the tapes. The first two episodes, the scenes that they were in probably was fine. And from what we see as a fan's point of view, we don't get to see everything. I will just say that again. But when he's acting weird around you, he's like, I thought we like was tight. Unless that was part of a game plan and you guys talked about this, then I don't see any problem with his assumption thinking that Max is a traitor, because I probably would too. I've had people, especially recently, acting real funny and suspicious for no reason whatsoever. It seems like they're up to something. And Deontay's like, nah, I'm gonna get the last laugh, coach. So you just sit there and watch. And yeah, he implements this move. And Sandra also says Max was laughing when Peppermint got voted out and had his hands on his face. So, I mean, look, he might have thought it was a funny moment, the way Peppermint turned around all dramatic and whatnot, and the way, Peppermint was messing up her words and arguing. I mean, I might have laughed a little bit too, but like I said, everything in this game people are going to take. So you got to just really be careful about what you're doing, because we got a whole bunch of Inspector Gadgets up in here, and Holmes and Watson players that are looking at everything. You're looking at everything. So Max is getting some targets. Then soon Max throws out Janelle and Etkin Sue's name, because they were saying each other was at different stores and they were fighting over the shield. I could see why he did this, but in all honesty, he should have just kept saying Dan's name, because you have two names thrown out at this point: your name and Dan's name. You can't throw two separate ones out, and there's all these different sectors, but yours is the biggest. You got a dog pile on what people said earlier, because if more than a few people are adding to Dan's name, they're like, oh, well, let's just get Dan, because it might be a split vote. You never know, but you throwing an extra person's name out ruins the chances of your allies helping you and backing you voting for the person whose already name's been thrown out there, rather than your votes being split. You're more powerful as a group than far apart. So I thought that was weird. Weird, not good strategy, gameplay at all. I know there's zero strategy in Dancing with the Stars. You got to give good choreo, and that's about it. You can't cheat and whatnot, see what other people doing. But this is his first time doing this too, so I'm not surprised he's making this kind of mistake. But definitely, yes, he should have kept dogpiling on Dan and understood where Deontay was coming from. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I think I respect what you're doing. But Dan, I still think Dan is. That would have probably convinced Deontay, like, wow, like he's not coming back at me and he's not dodging it, but he's going at the person he's already was. It's got to be Dan. But he didn't do that. And soon, Ekin Sue says she didn't have a problem with Janelle taking the shield. She knows Janelle's a selfless person. It's fine. Ooh, she's sneak dissing. She's sneak dissing. And soon CT calls out Max as well and says, Max, you acting funny with the money, and you might be the rabbit with the gun. I think it might be you. And this would have, like I said earlier, he just should have still called Dan out. Like, CT, I got you, but it's still Dan. You can say whatever you want, but it's not me, it's Dan. But he got flustered. And when you get put on, that's when you really kind of see the strategic implementation come through the game. And yeah, Max was definitely feeling that pressure. And Deontay is soon coming at Max hard, like full frontal assault. He got his whole fleet with them. He's got the whole pilot crew in the V formation, and they coming straight towards him and dropping bombs on that ass. I mean, Deontay is not holding no punches back. He's in him with the left, hit him with the right. He ain't playing no games, and Max is trying to dodge him as much, but he's about to get knocked out the game, coach. He's about to get knocked out. And soon Laura says Dan just has a demeanor that scares her. I thought that was funny. She's like, Dan, you just scare me. I mean, I don't like being around too quiet people too. If you too quiet around me, you making me nervous and I got to get out of here. Like, you got serial killer vibes going on. Look, everyone's not the same. Everyone's not gonna be super talkative, but you can't just sit there and just me lead every conversation, or else that's me thinking that you don't care that I'm there, you don't care what I'm saying, or you don't want to be there, and it's just freaking me out a little bit. Because if I slip up and say the wrong thing, you're gonna jot that down and catch my ass slipping. So I don't blame her for thinking that too. I mean, you can't be too quiet around some folk. If you know, just open up, be yourself. I don't know if Dan's super quiet as a person like that, but I don't blame him for thinking that because I'm kind of like that myself. And yeah, he must be a traitor. So, because he's just super quiet. And so we get all the people's reasons and whatnot. So we have Dan, we have Max, Janelle, and Ekansu as the potential targets. So the votes are starting out, and we see a vote get sent to Ekansu, Max, Kevin, because of the Bachelor Peter guy, um, and Dan and Peter. They all have votes because Dan and Kevin burn votes on each other essentially, and everyone one person voted for Ekansu, Max, Janelle, and Dan. So it's pretty close. So the votes are soon getting added up. Max is getting a hefty amount of the votes. Everyone's dumping them on Max because that was just so convincing. Dan gets a handful himself. But ultimately, a majority voted for Max, and it is time for him to face the music and get up to get his reveal. And of course, he is a faithful. And everyone's like, "Oh no, what did we do?" And Deontay's like, "Dang, I'll lead this bunch. What is going on, coach? This is not Tyson Fury I'm fighting against. This is a whole different ball game." And his punches all just didn't land ultimately. I mean, they knocked him out, but he didn't get his mission done. So he's still in the boxing ring and didn't win the fight yet. He won this round, but he didn't win the fight. And yeah, everyone's just upset because ultimately they messed up again. And it's hard to get the Traitors in the first two rounds. Like, if they would have got one of them, that would have been, you know, winning in glorious fashion. I mean, that would have been amazing. But they can't be too hard on themselves because ultimately, look, you get some people out. At least it's not you. You get a bigger prize pot at the end. You're not gonna get one, two, three, bam, off the bunch. So I don't think people should be too hard on themselves. But it is upsetting because what they think is going on, and the people who are followers, they're just falling for the traps every time. The Traitors are just sitting back, smiling, relaxing. Except Dan, he's panicking a little bit. But yes, Max revealed he's a faithful. Everyone has a real big over exaggeration because of that. I'm like, come on, guys, like we get it. Some of that might have been placating for the cameras. And Deontay takes it really hard, and Janelle says, "Man, that Deontay, he sure is convincing." Whew. I mean, look, the brother might have been in acting class once or twice. I mean, but look, he's an emotional player. He's a very emotional dude in a good way. I mean, he doesn't have the reputation he has for no reason to being, shy and hiding his feelings and whatnot. He's definitely gonna wear it all on his sleeve, and that's what makes him so captivating as a athlete and human being and player. So I think what you see is what you get with Deontay. He ain't hiding it. And Deontay soon is very in the dumps, and he's going through it, very emotional over it. And he wasn't expecting this. He's like, I don't know how much more I can do this. And Phaedra soon come over to confront him just to make him feel at ease and whatnot. And she's like, "It's gonna be all right, baby. It's gonna be all right." And soon it is time for the Traitors to make a murder, but this time they must make a murder in plain sight. So now their objective is they can't really pick someone to just kill. They have to take this chalice out of a book in the library, and whichever one of the faithful or anyone's lips touch this chalice first, they are killed off. So this is pretty cool. I like this kind of game. I do enjoy this because it adds a special element of surprise and also wit, and really see who has that strategic implementation to get someone to do their bidding for them. Essentially, it's a little tricky. It takes some time, but I like this so much. I like this a lot. I do like this a lot because it keeps you tense. Like, it could be anybody. There's no discussing. It's just we'll see what we can do because you can't. If you try and go after one person, you're gonna run out of time. But if you keep it open and whatnot, you have options. So when they get these rules, Parvati mentions that it's not easy just to meet with the other traders in the house because everyone's walking everywhere, everyone sees everything, and everyone pays attention. So it's hard to kind of figure out what we're going to do about this. Dan and Parvati soon thinking about uh, John, or MJ. John. Yeah, John is in the Parliament guy. Yeah, they briefly talk about Phaedra, I believe. I could be mistaken her name. But yeah, they throw some names out there and whatnot who they think should get killed. But Dan's this they just need to get to somebody at first. They have some targets, but they need to get to somebody. And MJ's they're kind of set on her initially just because she is the one that's really, pushing certain agendas and whatnot, especially towards Dan, because she was ringing that bell. So the plan is Dan soon gets the chalice, and then Parvati's gonna do the action to get someone to drink it. Phaedra says, "I'm out. Y'all take this one. I'm chilling. Just make sure it's not one of my homegirls." And Sari essentially. And soon Parvati, Dan gets the Parvati. Dan gets the into the bookshelf, gets the chalice, grabs it, and swiftly hands it to Parvati. And it's a rusty, old looking chalice. It looks like an antique type of chalice. I've been to a bar where they give you actually chalices to drink alcohol rather than just like glasses. So it doesn't look rusty and dirty. It just looks, to me, it just looks like a special kind of one, like an old school type. It looks pretty cool to me. I mean, look, I would probably be fooled to drink it because I like stuff like that. But hey, I mean, I think it's easier for the women to ask somebody to drink it because a guy, it's like, oh, just here you go. You want to drink? I mean, I think it'd be easier for a guy to get a girl drink it and a girl drink a guy to drink it, or if you get one of your friends to drink it. That would be kind of tough, but it's a game at the end of the day. But you don't want to do that to your friend this early. You'll need them later down the line to suss other people out instead of you if you are a traitor. There's a lot of different directions they could go with this. If it was me, if I was handing it to somebody, I'd be like, look, what you want to drink? What you want to drink? Got you. Psh, here you go. They said, I don't want it. I'm like, here, I'll take it. Uh, I would maybe fake drink it, but you can't do that. So if they don't want to drink it, then I was like, look, I'll give it to somebody else. No big deal. This is a special drink that I put something special in. I'd like ease and push that it's special. But then you can't do that because then if anyone hears you saying that, I just thought about that, then you'll be a target and like, oh, it's a special drink. You must have been the person. So you got to be swift with it. You're like, here, I just got you a drink, something real quick. Or I would say, you thirsty? You want something? I'm like, all right. Get him the chalice. I'm like, this is the only thing left. Like, here you go. But I'd say that to somebody who I'm not super tight with, so it wouldn't seem like anything crazy. And nobody would notice it if I just asked everybody, like, does anyone need a drink? Casually. And that's it. So we'll see. But yes, soon Phaedra sees Parvati with the chalice and knows Parvati is aiming at Sheree, and she says Sheree will not be killed on her watch, and because Parvati's thinking about getting Sheree, and so I mean Phaedra's sitting right there. So if you do that, your ass is probably next. So don't you better back up, sister girl. Now you can't touch all those others, but you can't touch this one. She say, and she's like, all right, let me get out of here. I got to do something else. So she aborts the mission in killing Sheree, and she decides to go somewhere else. And so we don't get the implementation that there's a time limit. We just know that there's a job that needs to be done. But Parvati says time is running out, and when the clock strikes, she has to have the decision made by then. So we don't know exactly how much time they have. I wish we got like a clock, but we don't get to see that part of the aspect. And so she's running through rooms and she's trying to figure out what she should do. And she soon sees, she gets into a room, the other room, and she's like, this is the room I have to pick somebody in. And she's trying to get MJ to, drink the rusty cup. But she says, look, she knows MJ ain't putting her lips near this thing. She's too classy and too much of a lady to do something like that. So I might need to abort this mission too. Like she's running out of plans quick. I don't know if Parvati was the best option to give this plan to because she's definitely being she's failing at the mission right now, coach, and she might have to take a sip out of her own poison chalice at this rate. I mean, good lord, girl, get it together. But Yes, she's in this room. She has to pick someone in the time's running out. And the only people that's in this room, as I believe from the screen, is Janelle, Peter, MJ, Dan, Trishelle, Bergie, and Ekin Sue. So it looks, I mean, I don't see her giving it to Trishelle or Janelle. So I'm thinking it's either Peter or Bergie. I think it's one of them two. And like I said, based off of Bergie's heroics earlier, and he seems gullible enough to take it. I mean, not that gullible to take it. Sorry, just he doesn't seem like he'd say no. Like, oh, here's a drink, and he's like, oh, okay. Like he wouldn't. He's not the kind of guy to just dismiss it and whatnot. He'd be like, all right, I'll take a drink, and then that's it. So my prediction's Bergie. It's gonna be sad to see him go if he goes. I don't know, but just that's the one of the last pictures we got to was his face. I've seen this picture before. I just don't see it being anyone else but him, sadly. But we'll see. Maybe it could be somebody else. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they'll run out of time. But yeah, that concludes episode 3. Very good episode. I'm enjoying it so far. A lot of strategic implementation being put into place. People running with different narratives and whatnot on who could do what and who could be who. It's still early, but we're getting to the point where if they get a couple more wrong, then it's like, man, some chaos is about to ensue and break out. And we're going to start really seeing some people crumble, who's going to rise to the occasion and who's going to crumble like some cookies. But that concludes episode 3. Thank you guys so much for joining me as well. This was excellent. Now, we have a Traitors premiere party coming up. It's not till next week, so them got moved from tomorrow till next week. I will see who will be there from the show. We'll get some, one-on-one time to put on the Patreon exclusively. We'll get to that later, but yeah, y'all, like we said, we got that coming up. We got some more Squid Game people coming up for the Patreon as well. So stay tuned. We got some good things, and yeah, that's about it. We got the new episode coming out tomorrow for the Traitors. That's exciting. And yeah, we're wrapping up soon on the Trust. So I appreciate y'all coming with me. There's been a lot this week with the Lions game, and then these shows just boom, 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 boom coming out. So definitely trying to keep up with the times. They trying to test me a little bit, but I used to be a track star myself. I ran multiple races. I've done 4 events and 1 meet, so I can do this no problem. And a Squid Game. So thank you guys so much for joining, for coming to explain and hear what's really going on with the Traitors US Season 2. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me. This is DeAndre Way, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace and blessings.